All kinds of monsters now live among people, and we need to keep an eye on them. Some of them blend in pretty well, so you need to keep your eyes wide open to recognize them.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the first pair. Can you tell which of them is a ghost? Well, look, this dude has left footprints, so that's definitely not him, but the other guy. Next up, a vampire. Can you figure out which person at the party it is? It's this dude. He doesn't cast a shadow, unlike everyone else. Here are two girls. Can you figure out which of them is a werewolf? The lady on the left has hairy legs, but it's not a crime. Meanwhile, the right lady has left some scratches on the wall because she's the werewolf. Jennifer and Emma want to get into an exclusive nightclub. Unfortunately, not everyone is welcome. At the entrance, security is asking for a password. Can you help them figure out what the password is? Pay attention to the guy's shirt. Those symbols should mean something. A B, an A, a rock, and a star. B, a rock star must be the password. Esme was walking in a forest, and guess what? She got lost. After a bit of walking around, she found the house of her old friend, the witch. She pet the cat and asked the witch to take her home. As always, the witch had a riddle for Esme.
The answer is in your head before you even think of it. It may lead you to the wrong answers, but it is itself ultimately correct.
So what is it? Of course, that's a brain! A clothes store manager noticed that some things had started to disappear. At first, he thought it was a mistake, but the problem persisted for months, and he invested in security cameras. After a half a year, he reviewed the footage. Can you take a look at it and figure out what's been happening to the clothes? Look at this pregnant lady with a big belly. In half a year, she would have already given birth. But she keeps showing up like this, which probably means that the belly is fake, and she uses it to steal clothes. Taylor was craving her favorite cookies that were only sold in one particular store outside the town. She was going to work, but her boyfriend had a day off, and she asked him to go get the cookies for her. When she came home, the cookies weren't there. Taylor's boyfriend said that the cookies had been sold out by the time he'd made it there. Taylor knew that he hadn't left the house. How did she figure it out? The store is outside town, so her boyfriend would have to go by car. But the car is covered in snow, just like it was when she was leaving, which means that he didn't use it. On Wednesday, a high school student, Margot, went missing. She left after the first lesson, feeling sick, and didn't make it home. There are 3 suspects: Mrs. Adams, the director, Mr. Jones, the janitor, and Mrs. Smith, a school cook. Mrs. Adams said, "Margot's mother called me, and I gave the girl permission to leave." Mr. Jones said, "I'm not exactly sure what Margot looks like." Mrs. Smith reported, "I saw the girl at lunch. She looked quite ill and only got a yogurt." Who should be taken for further interrogation? Mrs. Smith, the cook.
Oh, no.
Margot left after the first lesson, so she couldn't be there at lunch. In a parallel universe, it was only allowed to have fun and eat candy. No one ever read or studied. Mrs. Relham came back home after a long and fun day at a club. Her 3 daughters were supposed to have fun too. When the woman returned, she noticed that someone had done some gardening instead. Hannah said, "I was watching movies all day." Elle said, "I went camping with friends." Ava said, "I was in my room playing Uno." Mrs. Relham could tell that one of her daughters was lying. Who was it? It was Ava. She would need someone to play Uno with. She couldn't do it by herself. Now let's take a small break and test your attention. Look, here's a ball and 3 cups. I'll put the ball here in the cup on the very left. Your task is to watch the ball and then tell me where the ball is. Let's go. So, where's the ball? Look, it's here. Did you get it right? Let's do it again. Now I have 4 cups and I'll be moving faster. I put the ball right here. Watch it. So where do you think it is? It's in this cup. And let's make it almost impossible and see if you can get it now. 5 cups, so watch closely. What's your bet? It's right here. Great job! At sunset, Sadie was walking along the beach and found a bottle with a message inside. Can you help her figure out the cipher? This cipher was first used by Julius Caesar, so it's called a Caesar box. To decipher the message, you need to divide the code into 5 groups of 5 and rearrange them vertically, like this. And now you just need to read it vertically, column by column. Allison, a mom of 3, came back home after a long day at work and went to the kitchen to make dinner. Well, someone had already had one, a chocolate paste sandwich. See those breadcrumbs and some chocolate on the knife? Her daughters knew that no sweet snacks were allowed before dinner, so Allison went upstairs and found her 3 daughters doing homework. Can you tell which of them ate the chocolate paste sandwich? It's this girl with chocolate stains on her shirt. While Mr. Coleman, a rich gentleman, was on vacation, his mansion got robbed. The security was notified and a detective started the investigation. All the people who had been to the house were interrogated. Jack, Mr. Coleman's best friend and business partner, reported that he had visited the house a couple of times to pick up the mail and get a couple of important documents from his office. John, the gardener, said that he had come every week to take care of the garden. Ben, the cleaner, said that he had come every Wednesday to clean the house. The detective took fingerprints of each of the suspects, as well as some fingerprints from Mr. Coleman's office. Take a good look at them and try to figure out who should be arrested. As you see, all 3 kinds of fingerprints were found in the office. But while Jack and Ben had a reason to be there, the gardener did not. So, he must be the thief. Violet, Rose, Scarlet, and Hazel are best friends hanging out at a party. The four of them wear dresses of respective colors, but none of them wears the color reflected in her name. They study economics, English, chemistry, and medicine. Can you figure out which dress each of them is wearing? Here's some available information. Scarlet is younger than both the girl in pink and the one studying English. The girl in pink, the girl in red, and Hazel speak Spanish. The economics student, who is not Rose, is engaged to the brother of the girl in purple. The English student and the girl in purple love coffee. The girl studying economics, the girl studying medicine, and the girl in pink live on the same street. Okay, here's the solution. Hazel doesn't wear hazel because that's the color of her name. We also know that she can't be the girl in pink or red, so she's wearing purple. Now, from statements 1 and 5, we know that the girl in pink doesn't study English, economics, or medicine. So, she studies chemistry. Now, the girl in purple doesn't study economics or English. So then, she studies medicine. Rose isn't an economics student and also can't study chemistry because she isn't wearing pink. And Violet can't study medicine because it's the subject the girl in purple studies. Scarlet doesn't wear pink and doesn't study English, so Scarlet wears hazel. Then Rose wears red and Violet wears pink.
Are you ready for a new detective journey? Then buckle your seatbelts and let's go. Mary was walking through the park when she spotted a hungry kitten. The woman decided to share her snack with the animal. Unfortunately, there was a stream between her and the kitty. She squatted down to attract the cat's attention and showed it the food. The animal was next to her in no time. There was no bridge over the stream, and still, the cat wasn't wet. How is it possible? It happened in the winter and the stream was frozen. In a lake, there is a patch of lily pads. Every day, the patch doubles in size. If it takes 48 days for the patch to cover the entire lake, how long will it take for the patch to cover half the lake? The patch doubles in size every day. So on the 47th day, the patch will be half the size it is on the 48th day. You are in a place called Bobby's World, and there is only one law there. There is a mirror, but no reflection. There is pizza with cheese, but not with ham. There is pepper, but no salt. There is a door, yet no entrance or exit. What is the law in this strange world? Everything in Bobby's World must contain double letters in its name. Kenneth was hungry. He found a nice diner that served burgers and bought one. After a waiter brought him his order, Kenneth went to the bathroom to wash his hands. But when he came back, his burger was gone. The guy looked around the diner and understood who had taken his lunch. Can you figure it out? It's the young woman with a dog sitting at her feet and sniffing the air. If she was just drinking coffee, which is what she's pretending to do, the dog wouldn't be so interested in her. Look at these two guys. One is big and burly, and the other is short and thin. They're in a cafe, drinking identical drinks. The shorter one gulps his drink down in one go and leaves. The other man sips his drink slowly. Then he falls to the floor and is taken to a hospital. Can you explain why it happened if they had the same drinks? The drinks contained poisoned ice cubes. The man who enjoyed his drink gave these ice cubes time to melt and release the poison, while the other man didn't. An Arab sheikh told his two sons that they had to race their camels to a distant city to see who would inherit his fortune. The one whose camel arrived last would win. After wandering aimlessly for days, the brothers asked a wise man for advice. After listening to his opinion, they jumped on the camels and raced as fast as they could to their destination. What did the man tell them? The wise man told them to switch their camels. Look at these two guys. They're wearing similar clothes.
Yeah.
Both holding coffee cups. And in general, seem to be perfectly okay. But one of them is a werewolf in disguise. Which one? Look at the guy on the right. There are strange marks on the rim of his cup. Were they left by his fangs? Also, his pupils are a bit elongated.
Oh.
And there is a paw print design on the plastic bag he's holding. Is it a special store for werewolves? A rich entrepreneur disappeared from his office.
Oh my God.
The only thing he left behind was a note with the numbers 6, 4, 9, 10, and 11, and a calendar. The police have 5 suspects. All of them the businessman's acquaintances. James, Kevin, Carol, Jason, and Laura. Who knows something about the man's disappearance? Jason. The numbers mean months of the year, and the first letters of these months make up his name, Jason. A furious traveler at the airport claimed the contents of his baggage had disappeared. When I got my suitcase, it was empty. I want you to compensate for what I've lost. After checking the passenger's info, airport security found out that he had indeed left London with a heavy suitcase, and now his bag was empty and a bit wet. The whole situation was suspicious. Can you figure out what happened? The passenger left London with a suitcase full of ice. During the flight, the ice melted, and the man demanded compensation for the lost belongings. Matthew bought a new smartphone and a phone case. He paid $510. The gadget cost $500 more than the case. How much did Matthew pay for the phone? He paid $505. Last night, on a full moon, several people disappeared in the city. Locals believe that the kidnapper was a werewolf, and you are invited to investigate this case. There are 3 suspects, Jack, Levi, and Luke, but all of them have alibis. Jack was walking with his girlfriend near the river. Levi was choosing a silver ring for himself in the mall. And Luke, who is a museum guard, had a night shift at work. Which guy is guilty? Jack was walking under a full moon and didn't turn into a werewolf. Levi wasn't afraid to put on silver rings. The werewolf and potential kidnapper is Luke. Detective Black's assistant, Josh, was late for work.
Oh.
When he arrived, he told his boss the following story. I was driving along the highway when I saw an unconscious man lying on the left side of the road. I picked him up and took him to the nearest hospital. Finally, he came to his senses. He told me he had been pushed out of a moving vehicle, but the bag with all his money and documents was left inside. Strangely, Detective Black told Josh that the man had lied to him. How did he figure it out? If the man had indeed been pushed out of the car, he would have been lying on the right side of the road, not the left one. Criminals caught 3 men and locked them in a basement with only one window, high above the floor.
Oh no.
The men decided that at least one of them needed to escape and warn the police. The men stood on each other's shoulders, but the one on the top still couldn't reach the window. But then they did something, and one of them managed to escape. Can you figure out what they did? The tallest of them climbed on the top. And since, proportionally, this man also had longer arms, he managed to reach the window. You find yourself in a room with no windows. There are 3 doors leading out of the room. Suddenly, a big screen on the wall lights up. You read, "Behind each of these doors there is some danger. The first door leads to a scorching hot desert. Several steps, and the sun will burn you. Behind the second door, there is a hungry alligator that hasn't eaten for a year. And the third door hides a pool with icy water. To get to freedom, you'll have to swim across it. Which door should you choose to survive? Alligators can indeed go without food for up to 3 years, which means that the creature behind the second door is hungry and dangerous. Freezing water can cause cold shock in an unprepared swimmer. That's why you should choose the first door. You just need to wait for the sun to go down and walk through the desert.
Oh, yes.
James came to a cafe to drink coffee. But when a waitress brought him a cup, the man found a fly in his drink. He called the waitress and told her to bring him another coffee. She did. But when James took a sip from his cup, he got really angry and asked to call a manager. He complained that the waitress had brought him the same coffee. How did he understand it? The new coffee was already sweet because James had already put sugar in his first cup before finding the fly.
Lucy is a powerful witch. She gets a task to find a wicked enchantress, Rowan, who's hiding inside a beauty salon in the human world. Lucy walks in and sees 3 hairdressers. Can you help her spot Rowan? The first lady is holding a broom, but she just sweeps hair off the floor. It's just part of her job. Although the third lady has green hair and witchy style. It doesn't prove that she's a magical creature. But take a look at the second hairdresser. She's mixing something in her bowl. Regular hair dye doesn't spark, so she's Rowan. Lucy catches Rowan and sends her back to prison. The hairdressers want to thank Lucy, so they invite her to the local cafeteria for lunch. Can you guess which customer is broke? Take a look at the signs. This one says, any item, $1. The third lady got soup and free water. Meanwhile, others had to pay for several items. Therefore, she's probably the one who's broke. Lucy meets a handsome guy in the cafeteria, Rob. They get along, and he invites her on a date. Rob wants to impress Lucy and takes her to a photography exhibition. Rob is a photographer. He took these pictures a few months ago. Suddenly, one art critic says, "Some of these photos are not real. What a scandal." Can you spot any fake photos? This one, the shadow under the bridge doesn't belong there. Rob wants to recover his reputation. That's why he goes on a dangerous trip across the desert to take some epic pictures. But he gets lost in the evening. Oh no! A massive sandstorm is coming. Rob has to find a place to hide. He comes up with 3 ideas. Run away from the sandstorm, hide behind a big rock, or hide in a dried riverbed. What should he do? A human can't run away from a sandstorm. The wind speed is too high. The riverbed is too low. The sandstorm can easily reach him there. Therefore, Rob should pick the rock. It'll cover him up completely. After the trip, Rob gets hired as a photographer at the alumni reunion party. 4 friends, Vlad, Luna, Gabriel, and Lenora, ask him to take their picture. Only one of them is not a vampire. Can you guess who? Take a look at the decoration. It says that they graduated 20 years ago. Vlad is the only one who's getting older, so he's not a vampire. The party goes on. 3 girlfriends are taking pictures together. Suddenly, they spot their former classmate, Crystal. She wasn't popular at school, but now she's a famous blogger. They ask Crystal for a few selfies with her. Can you spot who's Crystal? Only this lady is in all the pictures, so she's Crystal. Rob takes a couple of group shots. Then, he takes a closer look and sees that one of the guests is a runaway criminal from the TV news. Can you spot this person too? There he is. Meanwhile, Lucy returns to the magic world. She has 4 barrels of excellent punch. Lucy was saving them for her birthday party, which will start in 24 hours. She enters the storage room and sees that someone had stolen her beauty potion, the one which dyes hair pink permanently. Lucy finds a note nearby. I put the pink hair potion in one of your punch barrels. Guess which one? Good luck! Lucy has to find the enchanted barrel before the party starts. She knows that the potion would work in 10 hours. Luckily, she has one friend who wants pink hair, Marta. Lucy decides to test the punch on her. How can she check 4 barrels in 21 hours? Lucy should give Marta the punch from the first barrel right away. Then the second barrel's punch an hour later, and the third 2 hours later. If Marta's hair becomes pink in 10 hours, the first barrel is enchanted. If she changes her hair color in 11 hours, it's the second barrel to blame. And if she gets pink-haired in 12 hours, it's the third barrel. But if Marta stays blonde, the fourth barrel is enchanted. Lucy and Rob become an official couple. They want to rent a new apartment to live together. They can't choose between these 2 options. Can you guess which place belongs to a vampire? This one. It has no windows at all. Lucy's father, Magnus, is a very rich and powerful wizard. Lucy and Rob attend dinner at his house. Lucy doesn't know yet, but the cook was bribed to poison Magnus. The cook brings a separate dish for each family member because everyone has their own tastes and needs. You can save Magnus if you figure out which one is his dish. We know the following information. Lucy is allergic to fish and has diabetes. Magnus doesn't think about healthy eating. Esmeralda takes care of her shape and also she has lactose intolerance. As for Rob, he's a vegetarian. Which dish is for Magnus? This one. Lucy and Rob get an invitation to a barbecue party from their neighbor, William. They arrive at the appointed time and see William lying in the backyard, unconscious. A police car and an ambulance are already there. William left an uncooked piece of meat in the cold barbecue. There's a tray with seasonings, a knife, and a fork on the table. Rob questions 2 other guests. Bella says, "The police said that Will was attacked about an hour ago. I was in the kitchen. I heard a strange noise and ran outside." Frank says, "My house is very far from here. I just got back from the store. I heard a scream and rushed over. Wait a minute, what's there? Seems like Lucy dropped her earring." Rob understands who attacked William right away. What about you? Frank said that he just came over, but he knew that the barbecue was cold. That's why he wasn't scared to put his hands inside. Rob realized that Frank was trying to frame Lucy. Lucy and Rob are getting married. Everything goes well, and the ceremony is about to begin. But suddenly, Lucy disappears. Later, Rob finds her in the broom closet. Someone had hit her on the head and escaped. Who did it? It's the waitress. There's a necklace from Lucy's jewelry set in her pocket. The wedding ceremony goes on. After that, Magnus gives Lucy and Rob a new house as a gift. It took 80 men 1,000 hours to build it. How long would it take 40 men to build it? No time at all, because it's already built. Rob is driving near a big shopping mall. He sends Lucy a message asking if he should buy anything. She replies with this odd riddle. My life is generally measured in hours. I serve by being devoured. Thin, I am quick. Fat, I am slow. The wind is my foe. Can you guess what he should buy? A candle. Rob grabs a candle and goes to the checkout. Oh no, I forgot my wallet in the car. One customer from the line offers Rob a deal.
I'm gonna pay for your candle if you crack my puzzle.
Rob agrees. Here's the riddle.
I go through a door, but never come in or go out. What am I?
The correct answer is a keyhole. Lucy is exploring the local haunted house. Can you count the exact number of ghosts in this area? The correct number is 8. Lucy hears loud screams from the basement. She goes there to check. Looks like it's filled with sleeping gas. Lucy faints and wakes up locked in her room. There are 4 doors with some weird runes. Suddenly, Lucy hears a creepy voice from somewhere above. The only way to get out of here alive is through door C. Good luck. Can you help Lucy find door C? Here it is. Each sign means a double letter. Lucy finds the right door and escapes. In the garden, she meets a group of witches dancing around the fire. One of them is a fake witch. Can you guess who? This lady. She's using a vertical vacuum cleaner instead of a broom.
Detective Smith was called to investigate a burglary at the city's museum. A priceless diamond disappeared and the thief left no trace behind. After analyzing the museum's security cameras, Detective Smith gathered 3 suspects: the security guard, the museum's curator, and a visitor. The security guard said he only left his post during lunchtime, and he could swear that the diamond still wasn't missing at that time. The museum curator spent the day guiding a tour of the museum for a foreign group. They came to see the diamond at the beginning of the tour, and it was still shining bright in its place. The visitors said he only popped in for a quick visit and didn't even pass through the Metzi aisle where the diamond was kept. After these 3 interviews, Detective Smith found the thief. Can you tell who it was? It was the visitor. First of all, he knew the exact location of the diamond inside the museum. Plus, take a look at that string he is fiddling with in his left hand. Detective Smith pulled it from under his sleeve and voila! The diamond was attached to it. I guess he didn't have time to go home and get rid of the diamond, huh? Julie and her friends decided to spend the weekend at a cabin in the woods. They arrived on Friday evening and spent the night playing board games and telling spooky stories. When they woke up on Saturday morning, they found that someone had stolen all their food supply. The door's glass was shattered, but other than that, there were no signs of who could have done it. So, the group decided to search the surrounding woods to see if they could find the culprit. Take a good look at the scene the group stumbled upon. and see if you can find out who took their food. What's that at the upper left corner? Those look like bare footprints, huh? And not just one, but rather an entire family of bears. Oh, and they even left an Oreo wrapper on the ground as evidence. Yep, these grizzlies were the culprits for sure. On a snowy winter afternoon, Dr. Brown was resting in front of the fireplace. Suddenly, somebody threw a snowball at his window. The hit was so strong that the glass shattered. Dr. Brown stood up just in time to see 3 neighborhood boys running away. They were brothers with the names John Smith, Mark Smith, and Dave Smith. The next day, a paper note was left on Dr. Brown's door. There it was written, "Smith, he threw the snowball." Dr. Brown immediately knew which brother had done it. Can you figure it out too? It was Mark. You see, the note said, "Question Mark Smith. He threw the snowball." But the boys were clever and put a bar instead to test Dr. Brown's detective abilities. A man carrying 2 bags of sand crosses Genovia's border every day on a bicycle. Every time, customs officers stop and search him to see if he's trying to smuggle anything illegal. But the officers can't find any proof that the man is a smuggler. The man laughs and crosses the border successfully, smuggling an item per trip. Can you figure out what he's smuggling? That's easy. He's a bicycle smuggler. He distracts the guards with 2 bags of sand. But every day he is crossing the Genovian border with a new bicycle. Smart guy, huh? Mrs. Pinkface is the world's fastest robber. She works alongside the criminal mastermind Zebra Mask. But Mrs. Pinkface was recently caught and put in jail. She and her partner in crime had already set up a plan in case this happened. Zebra Mask will pass outside the prison fence and send Pinkface a signal. 45 seconds after the signal, he will turn off the electric fence, giving her a few seconds to make her prison break. The thing is, Pinkface doesn't have a clock. She only has a lighter and 2 fuses. The fuses are flammable, and she knows they both burn for precisely 1 minute. They won't burn evenly, so if she cuts them in half, one side might burn for 40 seconds, while the other burns for 20 seconds. How can Pinkface use the fuses to time exactly 45 seconds and make her unique prison break? Here's the key insight. If Pinkface lights the same fuse on both ends simultaneously, it will burn out in precisely 30 seconds. To time the last 15 seconds, she will have to light the second fuse. She can light both ends of the first fuse at the same time to time 30 seconds and light the end of the second fuse. When the first fuse burns out, she'll know 30 seconds of the second fuse is also burnt. So, by lighting the other end of the second fuse, she'll be able to time 45 seconds and make her jailbreak. You just came back from a long holiday trip. You bought a new suitcase to store all the new things you got. But when arriving home, you forgot the code to open it. Luckily, you left yourself a note on your cell phone to help you decipher the code of the lock. 682. 1 digit is right and in its place. 614. 1 digit is right but in the wrong place. 206. 2 digits are right but both are in the wrong place. 768. All digits are wrong. 380. 1 digit is right but in the wrong place. What's the 3-digit code? (042). Friday morning started busy in Somerville. The police station got a call saying that a woman had just robbed a bank and was seen entering Sunset Elementary School. The police chief hurried over to the school and found there were 2 teachers present that morning. He immediately knew which teacher was the thief. Can you tell who it was? Take a look at the second teacher's long-sleeve shirt. It has a little bit of cash peeking out of it. She's most certainly the thief. The Apex 18 space station called NASA's headquarters to report a crime. On a recent mission, astronauts recovered a valuable piece of evidence that could prove there was life on Mars. Andy, the mission chief, said he put the piece of rock inside a safe located in the storage room. The next morning, he went to the storage room to put on his astronaut suit and noticed that the safe was open. And oh no, the rock was missing. NASA conducted an online investigation to find out who the thief was. Paula said she wasn't feeling well the day before, so she spent the day in her room. James said he spent the previous day fixing a broken solar panel outside the spaceship and didn't see anything. Rebecca spent the previous 24 hours talking to NASA's Space Center to resolve a problem. Can you tell who is lying? It's James. If he went outside to check on solar panels, he first needed to go into the storage room to put on his spacesuit. Plus, there's a rock-shaped item in his left pocket. He must be the culprit. Tuesday morning, Amy got a call from her boss, Tom. He was in distress because a very important document had disappeared from his office. It had been on the desk the evening before, but nowhere to be found in the morning. Amy immediately went there to question the employees. She soon gathered 3 suspects. Elijah said he had spent the previous evening at the movies. Mason had taken his girlfriend to dinner, and Evelyn had visited an art gallery. It didn't take long for Amy to understand who was lying. Why? It was Elijah. Take a close look at his ticket. The date is for Sunday and not the night before. This means he's probably the one lying. Peter was lost in the woods when he encountered an evil magician. The magician cast a spell on him that transported Peter to an empty room inside a huge tower. To make things worse, the evil sorcerer put the tower on fire. The room Peter was in had no doors and only a small window. Thankfully, he found 3 magic potions that could maybe help him escape. If he drank the first potion, he would get incredible physical strength. If he chose the second potion, he could summon any animal he wanted to help him. And if he drank the last potion, he would turn into a vampire. Which potion should Peter choose? Well, no animal could help him escape the tower, and even if he had all the strength in the world, he wouldn't be able to beat the fire. But if he turned into a vampire, then he could transform into a bat and fly away through the little window. So the third bottle it is. Katie got lost in the desert. She walked for hours when suddenly she came across a huge oasis. But to reach the main waterfall, where she could drink some water, she had to cross a bridge. There were 3 bridges leading to the same place. The first bridge was far from the ground, and its rope looked like it could rip at any second. The second bridge had some hungry-looking alligators crawling on it. The last bridge stood above a lake full of poisonous water plants. Which bridge should she choose? The last one. The bridge stands above a poisonous lake, but she won't touch the water when crossing it. Rupert was working in his office when a huge power shortage turned off all the lights in the building. He heard footsteps approaching behind him, and the next thing he knew, he was feeling dizzy. Rupert passed out and woke up in a tiny room that had nothing other than a metallic door. He tried to open the door, but it was locked. He noticed that beside the door, there was a little device where a red sign appeared, asking for a password. Below the device, there was a piece of paper with the following hint: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Rupert read the note aloud several times before he finally figured out what the password was. Can you guess what password he typed into the device? He typed in 1 time the number 2, 3 times the number 4, 5 times the number 6, and 7 times the number 8. Phew, that wasn't obvious, huh? Bill and Jonah found themselves stuck inside the cavern of the Great Genie. There was nothing there but a wall with 3 buttons. There was a red button, a yellow one, and a green. Somewhere on the floor, they found a note that read, TDUPTRNOREHEBSSTE. They clicked one of the buttons and managed to open a hidden door on the wall. Which button did they choose? The red button. They unscrambled the words on the note and discovered it read, "Press the red button." Miss Taylor is the owner of a boutique that produces and sells expensive ceramics. On a Friday, when the working week was almost finished, she went to deposit the day's money inside the safe and was shocked to find out it was all gone. Someone had stolen it. Miss Taylor suspected it should have been one of her workers. She asked each one of them what they had been doing that day. Sloan, a sales manager, said she had been prospecting for new clients. Jake, the potter, said he always made 1 cup a day, and he showed all the cups he had done that week. Lily, the designer, said she had been working, but she also admitted she hadn't been really productive that day because of some family issues. Who lied? Jake. There are 5 working days in a regular week. The man said he made 1 mug a day, but he only showed 4 mugs. It means he missed 1 day of work. Probably the day he used to steal Miss Taylor's money.
It's the finale of the Big Money Buzz Show, and Natalie is faced with a difficult task. There are 3 fish bowls, each of them containing a different amount of gold bars inside. If she manages to put her hand inside one of the bowls and take it out, she can keep the gold bar. The first bowl has scalding hot water inside of it. The second is filled with flesh-burning acid. And the last bowl has a couple of venomous scorpions walking around. Which bowl should she choose? Natalie should just wait until the water cools down and grab the gold bar from the first bowl. Bob was blindfolded and put into a shaky van. When he woke up, he was alone in a dark, empty room. There was nobody there, but there were 3 envelopes on the floor. A post-it on top of the envelope said, "Each envelope contains a red capsule and 2 statements. In one of these envelopes, both statements are false. In another envelope, both statements are true. You have to choose the correct capsule to get out of this alive." He opened the first envelope, saw a capsule and the messages: 1. Don't take this pill. 2. Take the pill from the second envelope. On the second envelope, the note said, 1. Don't take the pill from the first envelope. 2. Take the pill from the third envelope. And the last envelope said, 1. Don't take this pill. 2. Take the pill from the first envelope. Well, which capsule should Bob take? He should trust the pill from the third envelope. Let's see why. The first message of the first envelope is true, while the second is false. Both messages from the second envelope are true. This leaves us with 2 false statements on the third envelope. Timothy and Diana were strolling in a magic forest together when they ran into an evil witch. The witch captured Diana and took her to a haunted castle. Timothy managed to find the hidden castle and watched as the witch turned Diana into a frog. When the witch left the room, he snuck inside to turn Diana back into human form. He found a spell book that could help him and found out the recipe for the magic potion he had to make. He recognized most of the ingredients, but the last 2 were encrypted. Take a look at the witch's ingredient cabinet and try to help Timothy discover the last 2 ingredients he needs to make the magic potion. You got it! That's exactly what he needs. The day started busy in Fabertown. The police station got a call saying an undercover vampire was passing as a teacher at Middle Moon Elementary School. The officer went down there to check and found 3 possible suspects. Take a look at them and see if you can guess who the vampire is. It's the one in the middle. She's wearing sunglasses inside the cafeteria and drinking a very suspicious red drink. Yikes! Eric was coming home from a night out. As he reached the gate of his apartment, he heard the sound of someone bawling. He looked around, but no one was there. That's when he noticed something that scared him, and he shouted, "Ghosts! Ghosts! Someone help me!" Look at the image. Can you identify what Eric saw that scared him so much? The gate lamp isn't attached to the pole. It's floating in the air and somehow still shining bright. Well, this isn't right. Then Eric called his best friend, who also happened to be a renowned ghost hunter. That's convenient. His buddy Ray arrives, and his ghost watch immediately starts beeping. It leads them to the building's pool. At the pool, they see a girl swimming. Eric shouts, "Hey, why are you swimming in the pool so late at night? Here, let me help you get out." But Ray stops him, saying, "Don't do that." Why did Ray do it? Look at the pool. The girl is swimming, but there is no movement in the water. She must be a ghost. On the other side of town, Bobby is also ghost hunting. He called his friend Susan to visit the town's old creepy hotel and bust some ghosts. As they arrive, they find clear signs of ghost activity. It looked like that ghost had a sense of humor, though, and wanted to play hide and seek with them. The ghost led Bobby and Susan into a room with 4 doors. Each door had an inscription on it with clues to where the ghost might be hiding. The sign on door A says, "It's behind B or C." The sign behind door B says, "It's behind A or D." Door C says, "It's in here." And door D claims, "The ghost isn't here." Bobby and Susan looked very confused until a note appeared next to their feet saying, "3 of the inscriptions are false and 1 is true." Can you guess which door led to the ghost? Let's see how this would work. If the ghost was behind door A, then both B and D would be true. But if it was behind door B, then both A and D would be true. If the ghost was behind door C, then A, C, and D are all true. But if the ghost was behind door D, then the statements on all the other doors were false, except for that on door B. This matched the rules, so it was behind door D. To get into the best Halloween party in town, Becky had to solve a difficult riddle. There were 2 hourglasses in front of her. One hourglass measures 7 minutes, and the other measures 4 minutes. She needed to time 9 minutes using both hourglasses. How could she do it? First, she turned both hourglasses at the same time. By the time the 4-minute glass finished, there were still 3 minutes left on the other one. She flipped the 4-minute glass again. By the time the 7-minute glass was empty, there was 1 minute left on the other glass. And by the time the 4-minute glass emptied again, there was 1 minute's worth of sand in the bottom half of the 7-minute timer. She flipped it over again, so there's 1 minute's worth of sand on the top of the glass. And when the 7-minute timer finally emptied again, 9 minutes elapsed in total. Whew, that took some work. Jessica was on a trip to the desert when she got separated from her group. She noticed a sandstorm was coming her way. She had 3 options for what to do. She could try to run away from the sandstorm. She could hide behind a big rock, or she could try hiding in the desert's dry riverbed. Which one is Jessica's best option? Well, the first option is a terrible idea, as she will never run faster than a sandstorm. The riverbed is also not such a good idea, as it's too low, and the sand from the storm can fill the entire hole in no time. Her best option would be to hide behind a big rock. After the storm passed, Jessica used the radio to send an SOS signal to the guide. The guide told her to sit tight. A rescue team would shortly be on its way to help her. In a few hours, 3 rescue teams came to help Jessica. She got suspicious and asked all the teams who had sent them. The first team said that they had heard the news on the radio that a woman was lost in the desert and came quickly to aid her. The second team said that the hotel she was staying in called the police for help. The last team said they received a radio call saying a woman was in distress and quickly came to help. Which rescue team should she trust? The last team. Jessica sent a message to her guide as soon as the storm was over, remember?
There's a historical medieval castle where the legend says lived a beautiful princess and a werewolf. One day, a lonely tourist walks in there to take some photos. To his surprise, the princess is actually there. She greets him but says the werewolf hates any visitors, so she has to hide him. She then takes him to a secret room in the basement and locks the door. However, when she checks on him the next day, she sees that he's turned into a werewolf too. How did the werewolf find out about him? The princess is the werewolf. After a long day at work, Jamie arrived home only to find a burglar had broken into his house. Once he headed to his bedroom, he realized that the burglar was actually still inside his house. How did he figure that out? Take a look at the t-shirt that's hanging on the handle of his wardrobe. It keeps moving slightly. However, the windows are shut and the air conditioner is off, so there's no way any wind may be causing that. It must be the thief hiding inside the wardrobe. Check if Jamie is still in the room or not. Carrie is invited to a spooky-themed costume party. When she arrives there, she sees 3 people dressed as ghosts, but 2 of them are actually real ghosts. Can you tell who's human? Do you see the first lady? She has no shadow despite the light coming from her back. So she must be a real ghost. And notice that the light just passes through the arm of the third guy? He must be a real ghost too. So the second lady is human. The police department called Inspector Kim to solve a robbery case. The thief was last seen entering the graveyard with the sack of gold he had stolen from the jewelry store. They were able to catch the robber, but he was not revealing where he'd hidden the gold. Inspector Kim headed to the graveyard to investigate the scene, and he immediately found where the robber hid the gold. Can you? Take a look at the dates on these 3 gravestones. The second and the third look normal, but the first gravestone says this person lived from 1860 to 2020, and that's impossible. So, that must be some cover the robber made to bury and hide all the gold. The police officers called Inspector Kim for duty once again when 3 houses all next to each other were robbed on the main street. Inspector Kim questioned the owners of each of the houses to see if they'd seen something suspicious. The first man said he had not been inside his house when the thief broke in. The second man said he had been on the second floor listening to music with his headphones on, so he hadn't heard anything. And the third man said he'd been taking a shower, so he hadn't heard anything either. Inspector Kim could immediately tell that one of them was lying. Can you? It's the second man. He said he was on the second floor, but the house is a 1-story house. Aaron was traveling on his motorcycle when he came across 3 different roads. The first one goes through a forest where all kinds of wild animals are waiting for their prey. The second road is the shortest, but it's all pitch black. And the third road goes through the river where the current of the water is extremely high. Which road should he choose? The answer is the second road, of course. He's driving his motorcycle, remember? He can easily use its headlight to see around and find his way. Lee and his best friend are trapped inside a haunted house for the night because a sudden snowstorm overtook the creepy town. All the doors and windows have become barricaded with piles of snow. Lee and his friends need to find a way to stay warm. After searching the entire house, they find 3 stoves: a coal stove, a wooden stove, and a gas stove. However, they have only one match. What should they light first to survive the night? The match, of course. Take a look around this house. There are 3 signs that suggest it's being haunted. Can you spot them? Do you see that some invisible hand is writing something on the foggy window? Then there's a cat, which is acting scared, although it seems like there's nothing in front of it. And lastly, this statue is blinking. Allison was suspecting that her house was being haunted. After she did some research on the best Ghostbusters and monster hunters in the city, she brought down her options to 3. Take a look at the newspaper ads of all 3 of them. Which one should she choose? The Ghostbuster in the photo is posing with the zombie he caught. But take a closer look at the zombie's arm here. You can see his real human skin peeking through. That means he's actually wearing makeup and he's not a real zombie. As for the third Ghostbuster posing with the ghost he caught, do you see the hologram machine behind him? That means he's also faking it. So, the best option is the second Ghostbuster, who is not posing with any kind of monster and is not trying to trick anyone. After the Ghostbuster arrived at Allison's house, they started checking on all the rooms together. Once they entered the bathroom, the Ghostbuster immediately knew that the ghost was hiding there. How did she do it? Do you see the footprints on the floor? But Allison was wearing her house slippers all this time, and the Ghostbuster had her shoes on. So those definitely don't belong to either of them, which can only mean they belong to the ghost. Florence went to the clothing store to buy herself a new dress. As she was waiting for her turn to use the dressing rooms, her eyes caught 2 strange-looking people who were also doing some shopping. However, it seemed like one of them was actually a ghost. Can you tell which one? Take a look at the reflections in the mirror behind them. The first lady's reflections look perfectly fine, but the second lady's reflection shows her face and everything, whereas it's supposed to show her back, so she must be a ghost. Caitlin was driving to her parents' house across the country, but on the way, she took a wrong turn and lost her way. She ended up on some narrow and lonely road. Suddenly, a security guard stopped her and said, "You're on private-owned farmlands, so I can't let you pass. But I'll direct you to the main road if you answer my riddle. I protect the crops, I stand tall, and my purpose is to strike fear in all. What am I?" The answer is a scarecrow. Danny was sitting at the bench enjoying his drink when he saw 3 people coming out of the sea. However, something about them felt strange to him. One of them was actually a sea monster. Can you tell who? It's this third guy. Do you see his footprints on the sand? They start out as a weird webbed foot shape, only to turn into a human footprint later. Friendly ghost Casper's father had 3 sons. The names of 2 of them were Stretchy and Stinky. What was the third son called? He was called Casper, of course. Danny got lost in the woods, and he was feeling very tired and hungry. After a while, he finally came across a house that was made of candies. He couldn't resist and took a bite from it. At that moment, a witch appeared and said,
How dare you eat my house? I will punish you unless you answer this riddle correctly. Ancient knowledge few can know. In the night is where I roam. Vermin I grab in my flight. No one can hide from my sight. What am I?
The correct answer is an owl. Look at this picture. 10 minutes before it was taken, someone in this photo had stolen all the money from the cafe on the beach. However, all these people claim that none of them visited the cafe in the last 10 minutes. Who is the thief? The thief is the man with ice cream. If he had bought it more than 10 minutes ago, it would have already melted, or the man would have already eaten it. Mark and James played in the attic where it was dark and dirty. But when they came down, only Mark's face was covered with dust. James's face was miraculously clean. However, it was James who went and washed his face. Why? James looked at Mark's face and thought that he was dirty too. At the same time, when Mark looked at James, whose face was spotless, he decided he was just as clean. To crack this riddle, you need to be very attentive. Okay, consider yourself warned. An elderly lady called the police. A detective picked up the call. The woman reported that her neighbor, a young woman called Gina, seemed to have disappeared. The woman hadn't seen her for a few days and got worried. When the police arrived at Gina's house, they managed to unlock the door and found Gina inside, tied to a chair, with her mouth covered with a scarf. When she could talk again, she told the police that 3 days ago, a robber had broken into her house, tied her, and taken all her money and gadgets. The police officers didn't believe Gina. Why? Look at the date on the calendar. Over there on the wall. See? It's the same date as the one on the calendar at the police station. But if Gina was tied all this time, who was changing the dates on her calendar? You got lost in a forest. It's getting dark, and very soon, wild animals will start their hunt. There are 4 roads you can choose from: the north, south, west, and east. But the north path will take you to a supermassive black hole that will swallow you up. The south road goes through a lake full of huge whale sharks. If you take the west road, you'll end up at the edge of a ginormous hole in the ground that can't be crossed. And the east path will bring you to a sky-high mountain that is impossible to climb over. Which road should you take? You need to follow the south road. Whale sharks present no threat to people. They will let you swim across the lake without any problems. Lauren cooked 10 buckets of chicken wings for a family gathering, 1 for each guest. But later, it turned out a little Jimmy was left without his portion. Someone took 2 buckets. Was it Uncle Patrick? He seems suspicious. Or maybe Lauren's son, Justin. He's wearing this creepy know-it-all smile. Or could little Jimmy himself hide his chicken wings in his bag with toys to get another portion? Look at the dog. It wouldn't leave Uncle Patrick's side. It can smell the meat the man has hidden. One night, you find yourself stuck in an old spooky castle. You hear someone chasing after you, and you run faster and faster. But suddenly, a dead end. However, a bit later, you notice 3 doors on the wall. But behind each door, there are some horrifying creatures. The first door hides zombies. Werewolves are behind the second door, and if you open the third door, you'll come face to face with bloodthirsty vampires. Which door should you open to have a chance to survive? Escape through the second door. The moon is waxing at the moment, and werewolves transform only on a full moon. Look at these students. Who's cheating? It's the guy in the front row. He's balancing an open book on his foot. It's the year 2158. Jim is repairing the roof of his garage. At one point, he slips, falls to the ground, and breaks his leg. But the next day, Jim is already walking in the park, looking perfectly fine. How is it possible? Jim is a robot. See that red light blinking over his left ear? They must have repaired him really fast. Another robot committed a crime. Unfortunately, the police were unable to catch the culprit immediately. But they suspended 3 people, and each of them could be the criminal. A police officer had to figure out the true identities of these people. He had a knife, a screwdriver, a bottle of water, and a pen. Which object should he use to reach his goal? He can make the suspects drink from the bottle. The robot will either refuse or short circuit. Now look at these guys. Who do you think is a real superhero? It's not Joker. His hands aren't as white as the rest of his body. And it's not Batman. His mask has no ears. But Superman is real. Mrs. Lawrence went missing on Friday. Her husband informed the police, and they started an investigation. The last person to see the woman was a shop assistant in a jewelry store. She confirmed that the woman, who had been wearing a red dress and red shoes, had bought a necklace that day. On Saturday, Mrs. Lawrence called the police herself. She whispered,
"I'm locked in some house. I managed to find a cell phone, but I may be discovered at any... Ah!"
The police officer managed to track the call, but he could only figure out the street. Look at the houses on this street and try to understand where Mrs. Lawrence is kept. She must be kept in this house. Look, there's a tiny piece of red fabric on the fence over there. And we know that Mrs. Lawrence was wearing a red dress. You see a boat filled with people, but at the same time, there isn't a single person on board. How is it possible? All the people on the boat are married. 4 witches met up for their annual coven. The head witch looked at the rest of the group and exclaimed,
According to the laws of our community, we can't live among people or communicate with them. And still, one of you has broken this rule.
Look at the witches and find out who it is. It's the witch in a purple hat. There's a smartphone in her pocket. 3 friends, Kathy, Mark, and Lauren, gathered together to catch up on their latest news at Lauren's place. At one point, they decided to play hide and seek. When it was Lauren's turn to look for her friends, she easily found Mark. But even with his help, she couldn't spot Kathy. Can you help Lauren find her friend? Look, she's hiding in a trash can. Ew! Huh. To crack this one, you might need to think outside the box again. A man is pushing a car along the road. Then he arrives at a hotel. He shouts, "I'm bankrupt!" Why? The The man is playing Monopoly. And now, let's have some fun. I've got very unusual riddles for you with non-standard answers. An electric train is moving at a speed of 100 miles per hour in the northern direction, and the wind is blowing at a speed of 8 miles per hour in the western direction. Which way will the smoke go? Oh, come on. Electric trains don't produce smoke. Great. The next one for you. How many times can you subtract 10 from 50? Just once. After that, you'll be subtracting 10 from 40. How can you make number 1 disappear? You just add the letter G at the beginning, and it's gone. What can you easily hold without touching it? A conversation, if you're sociable enough, that is. My life is hard. Every night I'm told what to do, and every morning I do exactly what I was told to do. And still, I get scolded every time. What am I? I'm an alarm clock. Stuart works as a teacher in an old British magic school, which is located in a beautiful castle. Early in the morning, he's walking down the corridor. Suddenly, Stuart hears a loud noise from the class and goes there to check. He sees 3 students raising their wands. One of them is a fake wizard. Can you guess who? This guy, he has an ordinary twig instead of a magic wand. Stuart settles down the quarrel and goes to the dining hall. He chooses one of these 4 breakfast sets. But Stuart doesn't eat any meat or fish. Also, he's allergic to all the purple fruits and berries. Can you help him choose the safest option? First of all, let's exclude the first breakfast. This cotton cheese bagel looks good, but it contains salmon. The second set has toast with blueberry jam, which may cause an allergic reaction. As for the fourth option, fried bacon is hiding under this cute waffle. So, Stuart should choose the third option. Although it contains some purple cabbage, nobody said that he's allergic to purple vegetables too. The cook offers Stuart a deal. If you guess my riddle, you'll get a double dessert. Stuart agrees. Here's the riddle. What melts in a freezer? The frost when the freezer is switched off. After breakfast, Stuart goes to the school greenhouse to say hi to Miss Palmer. She looks very confused.
In the morning, 3 evil wizards opened a magical portal and snuck into the greenhouse. They took the shape of my plants, and now I don't know where they are.
Can you help Stuart find them? Take a look at this cactus. It has no root. It just floats in the air without a pot. All the lilies have 6 petals, but this one only has 5. And this pumpkin has a watermelon pattern and color. Therefore, these 3 odd plants should be the wizards. Stuart walks down the Great Hall. Suddenly, an owl lands on his head and ruins his hairstyling. Stuart gets furious and asks 3 students standing nearby, "Whose owl is this?" Can you spot the owner of this bird? It's this guy. He has the same colored accessory as his owl. It's time for the flying lesson. 3 students, Wendy, Drake and Blair are about to have a race on their broomsticks. Can you spot who's cheating? Blair is casting a spell on her broomstick to make it go faster. Blair gets disqualified. Meanwhile, Drake and Wendy and Rob get ready to start the race. Can you guess who's gonna win? Drake has a broken broom, and Rob's position is wrong. It will take him more time to catch the broom and hit the road, so Wendy has the best chance of winning. Stuart begins Transfiguration lesson. He gives each of his students an apple and asks them to turn the fruits into stones. And then Stuart goes to the toilet. After a while, he returns and finds a huge toad sitting on his desk. Stuart questions 3 suspects. Among the students, Drake says, "I didn't do it. I was too busy with your task. Luckily, I made it." Bella says,
It was Magnus. I saw him catching a toad in the pond last night.
and Magnus says,
It was Drake. He wanted to distract you because he didn't do his homework.
who's lying? Drake, take a look at his desk. There's an apple in front of him, but he said that he succeeded in turning it into a stone. Stuart is riding a broom in the garden during his lunch break. Suddenly, someone throws a purple paint tube on his head. Stuart loses balance and falls. He finds 3 suspects and interrogates them. Billy says,
I was just sitting under this ancient oak and doing my homework.
Bella says,
I was painting Billy's portrait. At some point, I noticed that my purple paint was missing. We both were here all the time.
and Lily says,
I was just flying on my broom. I didn't even see any paint, sir.
who pranked Stuart? There's purple paint on Bella's hands, but it's okay because she was painting. Billy's outfit looks fine, but Lily has these odd smudges of purple paint on her hair. That's because she hid the tube under her witchy hat after the prank. Stuart is visiting the human world once a week because he loves one local bakery. But today, he finds out that he's not the only magical guy here. Can you guess why? Take a look at this pretty lady. She looks young, but her reflection in the mirror shows she's an old witchy lady. Every winter, a fancy ball takes place at the magic school. Several students perform a traditional dance as part of the opening ceremony. Suddenly, one of the dancers, Lily, loses her balance and falls in front of everyone. Stuart decides to investigate this case and finds out that someone had spilled olive oil on the dance floor on purpose. He interrogates 3 suspects. Harry says,
Sir, I didn't do it. Lily is my girlfriend. Why would I prank her so meanly?
Richard says, Lily totally deserved that. She refused to go to the ball with me. I don't know who did it, but I'm grateful to this person. And Bella says,
Before the performance, I was taking selfies with my boyfriend. Look at the pictures, if you don't believe me.
now Stuart knows exactly who's guilty. What about you? It was Bella. Take a look at her selfies. She's wearing a witch bottle necklace and it's filled with greenish oil, but now it's empty. The magic school hired a photographer to take fancy pictures at the ball. This photo was taken at midnight, and this one half an hour later. Can you guess what happened here? This wizard didn't push her. He was actually trying to save her by raising his hands and casting a spell. And he succeeded, as we can see from the second picture. The winter ball is over. Stuart throws an after party for teachers at his apartment. Everything goes well, but the next day, Stuart finds out that someone had stolen the rarest and most expensive spell book from his secret library. Stuart has never told anyone about this room, but the lock isn't broken, which means that the thief knew a special spell to open the door. Only 4 guests possess this level of magic: Ambrose, Morgana, Rosamond, and Richard. Stuart rushes to the teacher's room. He questions all the suspects. Each teacher claims to have nothing to do with the robbery. Can you guess who's the thief? Ambrose. His coat is missing 1 gold button because he dropped it at the crime scene. Meanwhile, Ambrose looks through the spellbook and finds a potion recipe that allows teleporting anywhere. But unfortunately, the last 3 ingredients are encoded. Here's a hint to crack the first one. It's a flower that can be found between the nose and the chin. Any idea what it might be? Tulips. Here's the next hint. What kind of vegetable do people look forward to getting every month? Celery. And this clue will lead you to the final ingredient. What kind of room can you eat? Mushroom. Ambrose finishes the potion and teleports to an unknown place. In the evening, Stuart arranges an urgent Zoom call with his fellow wizards. They're all currently in the same city, but they don't have time to meet offline. Unfortunately, their video call gets interrupted by a stranger. Can you spot the imposter? All the wizards live in the same city, which means they're in the same time zone. The call takes place in the evening. It should be dark outside, but this guy is in the middle of a sunny day. Therefore, he's the imposter. Stuart goes to the magic market to buy special ingredients for a potion that will help him find the stolen book. 1 violet costs 10 bronze coins, and the price for 1 lily is 15 coins. Can you calculate the price of this 1 starflower? One starflower will cost 20 bronze coins. Each flower costs 2.5 coins per petal. And this particular starflower has 8 petals. Sam is a truck driver going from the Sunshine State all the way up north. Driving through a small town, he comes across a very low bridge. He can't pass under it. The truck is 1 inch too high, but this is the only road for the driver to reach his destination. What can Sam do to pass under the bridge? He can let some air out of the truck tires so that the truck can reach the exact height it needs to go under the bridge. Genius! Here's a simple but tricky one for you. Mr. Smith has 4 daughters. Each of his daughters has a brother. How many children does Mr. Smith have? He has 5 children. Duh! All of the daughters have the same brother. Sarah is a very beautiful woman, and 2 men are in love with her. One is a doctor, and the other is a florist. The florist needed to go on a trip for a week. But before leaving, he gave Sarah 7 apples. Can you guess why he did that? I guess he believed in that popular saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. There are 3 women trying on clothes in a department store. Take a look at this image and try to guess which of them is a teacher. It's the third lady. If you take a look, her stockings have some chalk marks on them. She probably got them dirty when she was teaching a class. Mr. Kooks was preparing his will when he came up with an idea. He would leave all his fortune to the son that would crack his riddle. He told his 3 sons to buy something that could fill their entire living room. So, the first son went to the market and bought many packages of straw. But when he tested it, they weren't enough to fill the entire living room. The second son bought sticks, but they weren't able to fill the whole room either. The third son bought 2 items that finally filled the room. Can you guess what they were? He bought a candle and a box of matches. He waited until it was nighttime, lit the candle, and voila! The light filled the entire room. Smart thinking. Detective Robin was called to Long Hill College to investigate a series of thefts that had happened there. In a week's time, the man had 3 suspects. "What were you doing when the last theft happened?" he asked them. Thomas said,
That day, I was away. I had to take my younger sister to her violin rehearsal.
Judy said,
I spent that day at the library, getting ready for the midterm tests.
Robert said, "I was also at the library, studying Spanish. I'm going to Brazil in the summer, so I'm trying to catch up on the language." The detective immediately knew who was lying. Can you tell who it was? It was Robert. Detective Smith knows that they speak Portuguese in Brazil, not Spanish, so the guy must be lying. Sarah was in her hotel room when she heard a knock on the door. When she looked through the peephole, she saw a man standing outside.
Sorry for bothering you. I'm the hotel manager, he said. Our database has crashed, and I need to check some information.
Sarah said she would be back in a moment, got away from the door, and called security. She said there was someone in the hotel trying to rob her. How did she know? Look at the man's name tag. It's a female name. He is surely not the real hotel manager. When Anna got to school, she noticed that her friend Joan was very upset. It was just the beginning of the day, but someone had already stolen her backpack. Anna started her own investigation. Jenna from the robotics lab said she had been fixing a robot that morning. Kate from the cheerleading squad had just begun her practice. And James said he had spent 3 hours trying to solve math problems and was exhausted. Anna knew right away who had taken the backpack. Can you figure it out? It's James. The school day had just started. How could he have been there for 3 hours already? At a party, there were 9 candies in a box. 9 people took 9 candies, but 1 candy was still in the box. How could that be possible? It's pretty simple. The last person took both the candy and the box. This way, 1 candy remained in the box. A math teacher told his students about Roman numerals. After that, he asked them to draw 1 line and turn IX into 6. His only condition was that the students couldn't lift their pens off of the paper until the line was finished. Mark was the first one to complete the task. How did he do it? He drew the letter S in front of IX and got this, 6. Smarty pants, huh? Rachel was at her office when security called, saying a robber had gotten into the building. At that moment, he was trying to escape. The woman ran towards the elevators to evacuate the building, but 2 elevators arrived on her floor at the same time. In both of them, there were men that looked suspicious and could be the robber. How can Rachel figure out which elevator to take? The one that's going up. If the robber is trying to get out of the building, he will be in the elevator that is going down. So it will be safer for Rachel to take the one going up. Hey, it's time for a hair appointment to trim those loose ends. But there's only 2 hairdressers in town to cut your hair, a guy and a girl. Take a look at them. Which one should you choose? The girl, of course. If there are only 2 hairdressers in town, that means that they cut each other's hair. And judging by the haircut the guy gave the girl, it looks like he doesn't really know what he's doing. So you should definitely opt for the girl. The shopkeeper of an expensive skincare shop called the police because someone had robbed his store. But according to the video camera footage, there were 3 customers in the store at the time of the robbery. Investigators questioned each of them. Michael said he had been buying some stuff for his pets. Kayla said she had been concentrating on ointments. And Maya told the interrogator she had been busy buying lotions. Can you tell who is lying? Michael is the culprit. The skincare store doesn't sell pet products. Duh! On a rainy day, Miranda decided to work from home. At one point, she went to the bathroom, and when she got back, she noticed that her cell phone and money had been stolen from her own house during the day. There were 3 people inside the house at that time. Her sister Beth claimed it wasn't her. I was still asleep at that time because I'd had a late night. Her other sister Anna said that she'd been taking a stroll in the garden when it happened. I was watching the night-scented orchid bloom. And lastly, there was Josh, Miranda's boyfriend. I just got home by lunchtime, he said. Which of these 3 suspects stole Miranda's money and cell phone? Anna is the culprit. Night-scented orchids only bloom at night. On Halloween, Carrie decided to visit the spookiest house in the neighborhood by herself. As soon as she got inside, the door locked behind her back, and she got stuck. Luckily, she saw 3 ways out. However, behind the first door, there was a venomous snake. Behind the second door, there was toxic gas. And behind the third door, there was a lake. Which door should she choose? The last door. It's just a lake. She can swim across it. Okay, let's begin with some riddles where you need to think outside the box just to kickstart your brain.
Yeah.
Here's the first one. You walk out of the house and see 5 pieces of coal, a carrot, and a scarf lying on the lawn. No one put them there intentionally, and yet there's a perfectly reasonable explanation of how they ended up on the lawn. What's the explanation? Someone made a snow person, and then it melted. 2 sisters were born in the same year, on the same day, and at the same hour. Still, they're not twins. How can it be? Do you have any ideas? If they're not twins, then they should be born in a set of triplets or quadruplets, and so on. Kendra went to a birthday party her classmate threw. She drank some lemonade with ice, chilled for an hour, and left early because she had an appointment in the morning. Everyone else at the party who had drunk the lemonade didn't show up at school the next day because of poisoning. Why did Kendra feel okay, even though she had the same drink? The poison must have been in ice cubes, but Kendra finished her drink and left early, so the ice cubes didn't have enough time to melt. Madison and Mackenzie are twins. One day, Madison celebrated her birthday. 2 days later, it was the birthday of Mackenzie, who was the elder twin. Can you come up with a plausible explanation of how it's possible? Here's one. Their mother went into labor at night from February 28th to March 1st while she was traveling. Mackenzie was born first, when March 1st had just started. Right after that, they must have entered a different time zone, which was an hour behind. So it was February 28th again. That's when Madison was born. The year they celebrated their birthdays 2 days apart must have been a leap year, with February 29th squeezing in between their birthdays. Crazy, I know. A man walks into a bar and asks the bartender for a glass of water. The bartender jumps out from behind the bar wearing a scary mask. The man says, "Thank you," and walks out of the bar without drinking that glass of water. Why did he thank the bartender? The man had hiccups. That's why he needed a glass of water. But the bartender scared him, and the hiccups were gone. So he didn't need the water anymore. The man thanked the bartender for helping him. Ellie and Nell were sent by their moms to sell cookies for $1 each. Both girls had an equal number of cookies. Neither girl was allowed to eat the cookies she was selling, and they could return only after they sold all of them. Hours later, there were still no customers. The girls really wanted to go home, but they didn't want to break any rules. After a bit of thinking, they managed to sell all the cookies, but neither of the girls gained or lost a single dollar. How is it possible? Ellie and Nell just started to buy each other's cookies, paying $1 each. Since they had an equal number of cookies, neither of them gained or lost anything. But both ended up full and happy without breaking any rules. In a small but touristic French town, there is a store called 7 Bells. But as you can see, there are just 6 of them hanging on the door, and it's always been like this. What is the reason? Originally, it was a mistake, but so many tourists started to walk into the store to tell the owner about it that it began to bring in quite a few customers. So, the owner just kept it this way. A witch had 3 daughters, Allegra, Helena, and Rowena. The witch was about to retire, so she needed to pick a daughter to pass all her magical powers to, and she didn't know which daughter was the most loyal to her. All of them possessed some magic that they were granted when they were born. Allegra had a magic ball that could show her any person she knew. Helena had a bag of magic dust that could transport her anywhere she wanted. Rowena had a never-rotting pear with healing powers. It would cure any disease. One day, the witch went missing. Her old nemesis kidnapped and poisoned her. The daughters came to her rescue. Allegra used the ball to locate their mother. Helena used some of her dust to go there and bring their mother home. And Rowena fed her the pear. The witch felt better. All of her daughters proved their loyalty to her, but the witch still knew who she would pass her powers to. Who? She decided to pass the powers to Rowena. While all 3 daughters rescued her, Rowena made the biggest sacrifice since her magical artifact was gone, while Allegra and Helena still had theirs. Now let's check how attentive you are. Look, here's a ball and 3 cups. I'll put the ball here in the middle cup. Your task is to watch the cups and then tell me where the ball is. Ready? Go! So where's the ball? Look, it's here. Did you get it? Okay, let's try again. Now, I have 4 cups, and I'll be moving them faster. I put the ball right here. Watch it. So where do you think it is? It's in this cup. And let's make it almost impossible and see if you can get it now. 5 cups, and they're moving even faster than before. So where is it? It's right here. If you got it right, you have my absolute respect. Eliza was grounded for 2 weeks after failing her math test. She wasn't allowed to see any of her friends, and she had to spend all her time studying. One night, her mother had a night shift and only returned home the next afternoon. She came to check on her daughter. She knew immediately that Eliza's friend had come for a sleepover. How did she figure it out? Take a close look at Eliza's bedroom. There's a mattress on the floor with a blanket and pillows on it. 2 best friends, Rowan and Brandon, both wanted to ask the same girl, Ruby, to the prom. So the friends decided to ask Ruby's best friend who Ruby liked more. The girl didn't want to share her best friend's secrets, but she gave the guys a hint. Ruby loves raspberries but can't stand blueberries. She likes rowing, but she doesn't know how to play basketball. Her favorite animal is a rabbit, but she's afraid of bears. Which of the boys does Ruby like? It seems like she likes everything that starts with the letter R and isn't a fan of things starting with a B. Following the same logic, she must like rowing. Mrs. Adams came back home. She had 3 teenage kids, all of whom happened to be grounded at the same time. She noticed that the car was parked differently outside, so she figured out that one of the teens had driven somewhere. She asked who had taken the car, but no one admitted to doing it. James said, "I was writing music in my room. I didn't go anywhere today." Ariana said, "I had been taking a shower and only got out right before you arrived." And Oakley said,
I was studying for my math test on Thursday. I don't want to get grounded for 2 more weeks. I have a birthday party to attend later this month.
"Who's lying?" Ariana must be lying. If she had really gotten out of the shower, her hair would be wet, but it's not. Okay, great job. Now it's time to have some fun. I'll show you some emojis, and your task is to guess which movie they stand for. Here's the first set for you. What do you think? Yes, of course, it's Forrest Gump. Good job. Here's the next one. What's your guess? The old classic, Alice in Wonderland. It can't be anything else. This one is coming back to our screens this year. Can you guess which movie it is? Of course, it's The Little Mermaid. This one's a bit harder. Let's see, what's your guess? It's I Am Legend with Will Smith. Did you get it right? It was fun playing with you. Hey Brightsiders, your regular brain workout is ready. Hope you've come prepared. Let's start. Patrick called the police. The man seemed to be extremely worried.
My wife Victoria took our dog for a walk in the afternoon. Several hours ago, our pooch returned alone. I don't know where Vicky is.
The police questioned the suspects, people who were often seen near Patrick's house. Mrs. Summers said she'd been watching TV all day long.
"I was busy delivering mail,"
said the mailman.
"I didn't have time to linger in this area, and I didn't see anything."
And Mr. Thomas told the police he'd been working in his home office. The detective knew at once that one of these people was lying. Who was it? It was the mailman. His sleeve is a bit torn and there's a dog bite on his arm. Plus, do you see some black fur on his pant leg? Victoria's dog probably tried to protect the woman. Peter graduated from the police academy and began to work as a trainee detective. 1 week into his new job, Peter already had the first tricky case on his hands. One of his colleagues was investigating a series of crimes connected with smuggling. She was close to solving the case, but several days ago, the woman disappeared. Peter visited the last location where his colleague had been spotted and found a note. Peter had 3 suspects: Bill, a manager at an oil company, Todd, a jeweler, and John, a car dealer. Who knows something about the disappearance of Peter's colleague? waiter managed to prove he deserved his detective badge. The guy turned the message upside down and tried to read it that way. Surprisingly, the letters made rather legible words. Bill is boss. He sells oil. Mr. White, a rich businessman, disappeared right from his bedroom, but he managed to leave a note. It read, the 1st of July, the 4th of January, the 1st of December, the 8th of February. The police questioned the people who were in the house at that time. Judy, Mr. White's wife, said,
I'm shocked. My husband was always so careful. Sadly, I don't know anything. I was away staying at my parents'.
Logan, Mr. White's secretary, told the police he'd been working on the report for his boss and hadn't left his study. And Rose, Mr. White's daughter, answered, I was having guests. We didn't leave my room. Can you help the police solve this case? The one behind Mr. White's disappearance is his wife. The 1st of July means the letter J, the 4th of January, U, the 1st of December, D, and the 8th of February, Y. Altogether, it's Judy. Julia came to have lunch in her favorite restaurant. She occupied a table near the window and put her bag on the chair next to her. Once the woman gave her order to the waiter, she went to the bathroom to wash her hands. But when she returned to her table, her bag was open and her wallet was missing.
Oh no!
The waiter told her he had noticed only one man passing by her table. He was short, with a tattoo on his neck. He seemed to go out to the terrace. Julia rushed there and saw 3 people sitting at their tables. She looked at them attentively and soon understood who had taken her wallet. Who was the thief? It's the young woman on the right. You can see a wig and some men's clothes in her bag. Plus, she's wearing a turtleneck to cover her tattoo. Jennifer was late for work again. Her boss was furious. He told the woman he'd let it slide this time if she cracked his rebus puzzle. I'm A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, V, W, X, Y, Z. This riddle was too difficult for Jennifer. She couldn't solve it and was fired. And how about you? Can you figure out the answer? That's I'm missing you. Got it? There's no letter U there. Once, a bank was robbed. The police suspected that one of the bank's security guards had helped the criminals. A police detective decided to question 3 of them. The first security guard told him he had heard someone shout and rushed there. But by the time he arrived, the criminals had already been gone. The second security guard explained he had been enjoying his cup of coffee at the time when the crime occurred. He didn't even hear anything. And the third guard said that he had run after the thieves, but he had to stop to lace his boot. Without a second thought, he crouched near an emergency exit. At that very moment, the door opened and hit him on the head. When he came to his senses, the criminals were gone. Justin immediately understood which guard was guilty. Who was it? It was the third security guard. All emergency doors open outwards for safety reasons. A math teacher told his students about Roman numerals. After that, he asked them to draw just one continuous line and turn IX into 6. The only condition was that the students were not to lift their pens from the paper until the line was finished. Mark was the first to complete this task. How did he do it? He drew the letter S in front of IX and got 6. Look at these couples. There's something seriously wrong with one of them. Which one? The couple on the right is strange. Look at the reflection in the mirror. It's all messed up. Nick called his wife Lauren from his office and promised her he would be home by 8 o'clock. That day was Lauren's 35th birthday. She had been getting ready for the party for 3 days, ordering food, sending invitations to her friends, and decorating the house. Nick came home at 8:05. He brought a cake, beautiful flowers, and an expensive bracelet. But Lauren was mad at him. Why? Lauren was sure Nick would come home at 8 p.m. in time for her birthday party, but he came home at 8:05 in the morning. Look at this picture. What's wrong here? Flowers don't bloom outside in the winter. How about this picture? Look at that bus. It's definitely a school bus. But why is it green? There are 2 mistakes in this picture. Can you find them? That lady is eating her soup with a fork. And there's a frog on that girl's plate. Yikes! Look at the picture and try to figure out what doesn't fit here. Right, it's the gas stove. All other devices run on electricity. In this picture, you see an artist and 3 women admiring his work. Can you figure out which one is his wife? It must be the woman in the middle. Have you noticed that the artist and this lady have the same blue paint stain on their clothes? And who is this doctor's wife? Okay, this lady on the right is the doctor's colleague. This lady is most likely a patient. Look at her teeth. And the woman in the middle is his wife.
Uh-oh.
Now, look at these werewolves. Which one is fake? It's the one on the left. He's wearing a costume. See that zipper? Mike came to the police station and claimed that he just had a car accident. A police officer accompanied Mike to the riverbank where the accident had happened. Mike told him that he had lost control while driving and the car had fallen into the river. Mike managed to get out of it and swim to the surface, but the car was gone. Now, he needed to write a report to his insurance company. The officer listened to Mike's story and detained him. Why? Look at Mike. His clothes are dry. But if he had gotten out of the river recently, his clothes would be damp. He's probably made up this story to get insurance for his car.